If you want to just be evil, you can still sort by first name. Hi, I'm Ryan from Educate.me, and today I'm going to show you how to manage a class list for checklists and more in Google Sheets. I've already created a class list in a Google Sheet, and you'll see it here. I have some columns that you might not be used to using in a checklist or a class list in Google Sheets, but it comes in very handy to include all these columns. What I have is a full name column, a first name column, a last name column, the student ID number, and then the email of the student. Most of the time you won't need all that information, but I'm going to show you what you can do with keeping that information and hiding it when you don't need it. So once you have your class list up, I'm going to name this sheet something different. What we're going to do is anytime we need a checklist or to keep track of a project, we're going to duplicate this sheet and make the changes on the duplicate sheet. That way, we don't have to recreate all of these names every single time. All of the information is there for us. Now, if you notice, these are out of order. We need to alphabetize them. That's why I include a full name field with last name and then first name. A lot of teachers I see will have the full name field, which is just first name space last name. Well, that's kind of a useless field because you can't sort. You can sort by first name, but who wants to do that? To sort this, we need to first highlight the whole sheet. Bear with me. There's different ways of doing it. The easiest way to make sure things don't get messed up is to highlight the whole sheet. We're going to create a filter. So data and then create filter. Once we do that, it automatically finds each one of our columns here has a little guy in it. If I want to sort by full name, I hit sort A through Z on that column and it's sorted. If you want to just be evil, you can still sort by first name. So your class is sorted by first name. But that's what each one of these, you can sort by ID. Each one of these allows you to sort your sheet. So when you get a new student in, you can just add that student down here at the bottom. Once that's added, I can just say sort A through Z and it'll put Buzz Lightyear right where it needs to be. You can also insert the row if you want to do it manually instead of having the computer sort it, you can do that. And then you can turn off the filter under data. So let's go through that again. I highlight the whole sheet just to solve, it'll save you some headaches. Data, create filter, and then I can sort by A through D. You may be questioning why you just don't click on this little down arrow and then say sort from here. Watch what happens. It sorts including your top row, and you probably don't want to do that. So that's why you can't use this very well. And there's ways to do it, but just to keep it on the easy side, I'm going to turn the filter back off. Click on this box here, that'll highlight the whole sheet, data, create a filter, and then you can sort by that. Then we turn that filter off. How do we use this for a checklist? First, we're going to duplicate that sheet. And then I'm going to rename the sheet. I'm just going to double click on the name and call this field trip planning. Now with a field trip, we need to be sure we get a permission form. Are they paying the admission fee? So we can say admission. If you're doing a project to get ready for it, have they completed that project? These are the items that we want to check to make sure that they've done it before our field trip. We need check boxes because we could sit here and put X's in these, but that's boring. We want something better. We want check boxes. So I'm going to highlight all of the cells that I want check boxes in. And then under insert, there is a checkbox. Now I get nice check boxes. So as students bring in their work, I can just check it off. As you're working with this, you notice I lost my first column over there. And if I scroll down, I lose that top bar. Well, let's make this a little bit nicer. If you mouse over these two lines here, this vertical line, this horizontal line, you notice it turns into a hand and it kind of highlights. That allows you to freeze, the vertical bar allows you to freeze columns, and the horizontal bar allows you to freeze rows. I'm going to grab that and drag that down. And now as I scroll down, that top row always stays there. I'm going to grab, I need to move all the way to the left. I'm going to grab this bar and move it over to this side of full name. Now, as I move right, I always see the full name there. So even though I have those other columns in there that I'm not really using right now, they're in there. To make it easier for you, go back to your full class list, which is just your template, and set those, freeze the first row, then freeze the column. Now, when you duplicate that, and here's where I'll copy, they're already frozen. So you don't have to do it every time. Makes it really neat to take care of that stuff. Let's get rid of this. We've got our field trip, and we've checked off a few. Well, now I need to email the students that haven't turned in their permission form to remind them to turn it in. That's where the email addresses come in. Now, I want to eliminate the ones with the checks in it. I only want to see the ones that do not have the check. Well, that is where we're going to create a filter. Remember how we sorted on filter? Well, we can also do fun stuff. Under the permission forms, I want all of the ones that are false. Right now it's going to show me the ones that are blanks, false, and true. I just want the rows that are false. So I'm going to check the rows that are false. And once I hit OK, you'll notice this turns into a funnel looking thing and the checked ones are gone. I can highlight these email addresses, hit copy, go to Gmail, hit compose. I'm going to show you how to use blind carbon copy. We don't want every student to know who hasn't turned their permission forms in. That's just mean. We don't use blind carbon copy, but blind carbon copy needs at least one person in the two. So what I do is email it to myself under the two, and then I hit blind carbon copy and I paste those email addresses. Now they're all in there, the 14, and I can say permission form due. Can you get me your permission form? And then I can send it to those email addresses. And then to turn this off, because right now I'm not going to see all of them. To turn this off, I click back on it and just say select all. It's going to select all of those now. So now I see all of them. I can also go up to data and just turn off filter. And now I'm going to see them all. And so you can do that for each row. So if this row has a few of them that are done, select the whole sheet, click that box over there just to be on the safe side. Create folder, and then only show the false, and I'll only see the ones that have not turned it in for admission. You notice it's the funnel only for the admission one. It's still showing me the permission forms where they have it in or not, because we are not filtering on that column right now. We're only filtering on admission. I said these ID numbers are in there. Depending on what parental notification service you have, some of them let you copy and paste the ID numbers directly into a message to message those parents and students. So you'll have to look and see what parent notification, which means I can sit here and show me all the ones that don't have the permission form and then copy those ID numbers and paste it into our parental notification system if you have one and get those. That's why I recommend keeping your ID numbers in the spreadsheet with your class list, just to make those things a little bit easier. Now, if you're doing a checklist, I'm going to duplicate this one. We have a daily list, and we just have a couple things that we do every single day, and we want to use this list. We don't need these columns in here. We can highlight these columns and delete, and we can put our checklists into here. And make our check boxes, highlight the ones we want. And we're good to go. If, I can do this again. If you're almost always going to use checkboxes, we can add them to our full class list. So we'll go over here 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now they're in our main full class list that we're going to duplicate. For my lunch example, let's say the cafeteria wants the ID numbers. So I can just delete the columns I don't need. And I went too far because I had this highlighted. I only want column C. And you notice Control Z, undo when you do that. Now I can do my lunch. And I've got a nice little lunch that I can keep track, and then I can do the same thing. So these are the people that are going to get lunch. I can do the filter. Only select the true ones because I only want the ones that are getting lunch. And then highlight that and email it to whoever needs to do it. Lunch lady. And they have a list. You probably have something else for lunches, but that's just one example of doing it. There are tons of other uses that you can use once you have all of your students in a class list. Feel free to make the class list as fancy as you want, because then you can duplicate that class list, delete columns you don't need anymore. It's always easier to duplicate than to add. So your full class list, put all of the information in there that you could possibly need. You could put parent names, parent email addresses, parent phone numbers, and you can always just delete those columns when you want to use that checklist for something else. That's it for today. If you like this video, hit the like button. Also check me out over at educate.me. Stay classy.